Welcome to Scoreboard, the podcast that explores how athletes, both current and retired, define success beyond the game. Each episode dives into the mindset, financial decisions, and career choices that shape their personal scoreboard, whether they're still in the arena or transitioning to life after sport. From victories to challenges, we reveal how athletes take charge of their own paths and decide what truly matters on their scoreboard of life. I'm your host, Chris Titley, and welcome to Scoreboard. Hi, it's Chris Titley here as part of the Scoreboard podcast series. I'm joined by Anthony Fainga'a. Anthony, thank you so much for coming into the office.
No, it's a real pleasure, and to come here in Eagle Street, what an absolute dream, and the view that we have here. Thank you very much.
Anthony, we're sitting here on the 8th of January, 2025, believe it or not. 2024, I'm interested to know what your 2024 looked like.
2024 for us as a business was really, really good. We were able to build strong foundations with our business. Moonyah Workforce is the business that I own, and it's a labour hire and traffic control business. And something that I've always prided myself on was trying to give people an opportunity to, whether that be to play rugby, whether that be to work. Growing up, it was really hard for us to sort of see mum and dad sort of get trodden on a bit until we got good at sports. So what I wanted to, when I finished rugby, was, how do I give people that opportunity to work? So we started this business, 4 years ago, and it had grown over the last 3. And last year, I really wanted to make sure that we built strong foundations so that, at least we could keep the balance sheet, we could keep the revenue, keep the same people, and just really, build some consistent clients, consistent work, consistency in the processes. So all of that, so that we can grow this year.
Interesting you mentioned about the business now and prior to your sporting life. Do you think, maybe 10 years ago, did you think you'd sort of be where you are now, or was this sort of an evolved post-sport?
10 years ago, if I'm being honest, I left school and I got signed to the Brumbies. My first 3 years out of school, I went to South Africa the first year, and not many people know, but I got a really bad cork on my leg. My leg swelled up so much that the swelling had sort of cut the nerves off to my foot. And when I went to hospital in Durban, they said to me I'll probably never play rugby again. And then, I remember saying to the doc when and being naive at 17 years old, said to the doc, "Oh, doc, am I going to be right for the next game?" There was 5 games. This was the 4th game that this injury had happened. He said, "Mate, you'll be lucky to play rugby again." I looked at Saia, and Saia was okay. I said, well, it's only a cut. Like, it's, you said it wasn't that bad. He unwraps my leg, and it looks like something from the Terminator. So my leg's being sort of cut open, and they're releasing all the pressure. It was a huge, big cut to try and release the pressure. But at that time, I didn't have any feeling in my feet. So they thought the pressure had actually killed the nerves going down to my foot. The doctor unwinds the tape and the wrapping and the bandages, and Say looks at it and starts crying. I look down and then I start crying. 6 months later though, I stayed in hospital there for about a month and a half, and that was a tough old month there in South Africa. And then we flew back to Australia with it still open, and then I spent another 3 or 4 months in hospital in Canberra. I actually came back from that, and I had a really, really good pre-season. After that happened, I sort of got a World Player of the Year. We went to the Under-19s World Cup. We captained that team, Saia and I. We won that first Junior World Cup that Australians ever won, Australian team. I kicked the winning field goal, got World Player of the Year, and that was all fantastic. Came back, the Brumbies said to me, "We just need you to play one game." "No worries, before you play for the Brums." So playing the club rugby, pass the ball, and someone tackles me from behind, and I break all my metatarsals on my foot. So in hospital again for another sort of 6. I was in hospital for about a month there. In a boot for 6 months. So it was rubbish. And then I came back from that, had another really great pre-season, got my first start with the Brumbies, and had the first 20 minutes, scored a try, everything's going to plan. Come out after half time, step, Palm, Nonu, one of the a world-renowned centre, but my leg was out straight, and the number 7 races around and dives straight at my knee with it straight, blows my knee open. And all I can remember was my mum screaming. And there's a crowd of, at that time the Brumbies were the number 1 side, so there would have been about, there was tens of thousands of people.
Yep.
But I can hear my mum screaming at Saia, Saia, get to your brother. So Saia runs over, and I'm like to the doc. I said, Doc, I'm all right. And obviously my medial and ACL and everything was shot. But after all of those injuries, the Brumbies said to me, Anthony, we like you, but we love you, brother, so we'll keep you. And I said, thanks very much, but I want to play Super Rugby consistently. I want to play for my country. And for me, it wasn't going to happen there if I was only going to be there because of Saia, or only going to be there because they might need a reserve or a replacement. So, I was very lucky that year. Phil Mooney was actually got appointed the Reds head coach, and everyone had left the Reds because of the Western Force starting up and the Melbourne Rebels. So they were recruiting all the rejects. And no worries. I put my hand up and I went up, and Saia goes, I see 2 contracts come out, and one was for me and the other was for Saia. And I said, Saia, at the moment, there's not many good players at the Reds, and Stephen Moore is the only sort of Wallaby consistently playing. You can't come. Stay down here, take the opportunity. Jeremy Paul's retiring, and you're going to take that position. He goes, no, we're going to move to Queensland with you, and we're going to play rugby because that's what our family does. We support each other no matter what, and we it's only a game. So that was the first sort of 3-4 years of my rugby career, which was so tough. And then on the flip side of that, watching Saia do so well sort of made it really, really hard as well. Whilst it was really good for him, it was hard to watch. But from a personal level and around all of that, not once did I have, you always talk about people when they get injured back to back, how do you get back up? Not once did anyone ever say to me, let's quit, maybe this rugby thing isn't for you. I remember just, my first injury, my second injury, my third injury, not once did my parents ever go, Ant, you're not going to be good enough to play, or, don't get up, or, it'll be all right. I remember my father being so hard on me, like, Anthony, get up. All right, Dad. And he would push me to do things like, go get your brother. So I'd have to get my little brothers, Billy and Colby, especially my younger brother, Colby. And my father would be really hard on me to pass with him we had a big games room. So I spent half of my rehab downstairs in our games room passing footballs to him. And when we left to come to Queensland, he got contracted to the Brumbies. So it was so good to see all the hard work he'd done when I was in rehab. After leaving, he would finish school and then I'd be, Colby, I need you to come pass. All that passing and all the tackling and watching his footage, all of that stuff come to fruition for him. So, so there was some great sort of learnings in there.
Yeah, you've mentioned your twin brother a couple of times. I'm curious to know the bond of the twins, and obviously you both ended up playing for the Wallabies. You both played the same teams, and now you're in the business together.
Yep.
Can you talk about that bond?
I think Sai's very different. Sai's the go-getter. He'll get into things that I probably won't. He's the one that will sit there very charismatic and so humble and lovely, and just, and he's great to be around. So for me, I sort of, in our business, Sai does a lot of the operations, the new business. I'll do all the back-end stuff, the contracting, the employment contracts, the people, the payroll, all of the really lovely stuff. But I don't know, he's also been, for me, someone that when you think you need some help, what do you think, Saia? He's kind of that person that is always like, he's your hype man. If you think you're down and you need some energy or you need something, just ask him. And it was always really good for me, because my biggest fear or my biggest worry was always, play the best game, and I'd still be worried on the Monday if I'm going to get dropped. So I was, geez, what do I need to do? Saia, do you reckon I played well enough? Yes, you did. Like, Ant, back yourself. we had a sort of a bit of a saying between Saia and I would be, you can't trust and worry at the same time. So trust that you've done the work, and if you've done the work, then you don't need to worry. So we still use that mantra around everything that we do around the trust and worry part, because sometimes you worry so much, but you forget that you've done the work. And if you've done the work and you've worked hard, then all of that gets parked to the side. And you be confident in what you're delivering or what you're saying or how you perform.
Chatting to a few athletes previously around confidence and around perfectionism, there's a sort of a fine line between that as well as arrogance and as well as sort of a lifelong learner. I'm interested to know, like, you come off at a game, are you a bit of a perfectionist going, I think I played okay, but I could improve, yet most people go, mate, that was a ripper game?
Yeah, again, we sort of, Sarah and I were very closed in, and everyone always, when you win a game, you always get the praise. You get 100 text messages. When you lose, you'll get a message from mum saying, great game, and that'll be it. Our focus was always, that game is finished. What can we do now to be better? And it was always
win or lose.
Win or lose. Win or lose. What are we doing? Because what we did yesterday, that's done. What we did last night, great, but we always wanted to be better. So because if we win a premiership last year, I'm still living off the success that I had last year or the last week, and I need to keep moving. So our thing was always to just keep moving. Let's get in on Monday, review the game. How can we be better? Even if you've scored 1 million tries, had the best set piece, I've tackled the house down, whatever it might be. What can I do now to be better? And not being hard around it or not being hard on myself about it, but just making sure that I implement whatever I thought I needed to be better at into my training on the Monday, on the Tuesday. And some of the best advice that I was ever given was when I was coming through the Reds, let's say the Brumbies, and when I first started the Reds, I was trying to be a bit like everyone. I wanted to be the best passer. I wanted to be the best at speed, and it sort of wasn't the best for me. So I needed to work out what the best was going to be for me. And I went away and I said to Ewan McKenzie, comes in as the head coach, and goes, what are you going to be the best at? What am I going to be after this preseason? What am I going to say about Anthony Fainga'a? I said, you know what, Ewan, I'm not the biggest, but what I'm going to do is run hard and I'm going to tackle hard. I'm going to be aggressive and I'm not going to miss my tackles. And I'm going to do everything I can to help our backline defence. I'm going to do everything I can to help the team defence. And what I'm going to do is when Quade doesn't want to run to the line, I'm going to take it on. And I don't care who's going to be in front of me. So it helped me go look at the game and go, catch pass may not have been the greatest, but I'm still going to work on that, because I think when you get to the top of anything, of any game, most of your Wallabies are very good at everything. And the same in any sport, to make an Australian team, you have to be good at everything, but you're generally known for something, whether it be attack or defence, you're the best at something. So once I had that advice and I sort of played, and I spoke to Ewan and a few of the other boys and say I trained really, really hard to sort of go, how can I be better at the timing on this and whatever else. So I worked really, really hard over that pre-season. 2011, we win a premiership and I played for the Wallabies after working out I need to be good at everything, but I'm going to be the best defender and I'm going to be, a hard runner, and I'm going to, help out the team wherever I can around that defensive space. So for me, it was really good to sort of go, these are my key focus points. That's what I'm going to do. And then it helped me when reviewing games or coming from a game going back to the point at the start was, how do I, perfection and all the rest. Even when I thought I played a perfect game, it was never going to be perfect because my timing could always be right. We could have stopped that try. We could have done this. So I don't ever shoot for perfection because I don't think it exists. I think, yes, winning a game, you could say that's perfection because, or winning a preseason or, winning all these, whatever it might be, games. But for me, it's always about growth and being better the next game and being better the next time. So that's always been our mindset.
Winning is an interesting topic for kids now that they've taken some they've taken the scoreboard out of various younger grades, etc., to the win-loss, even though the kids know the score. I'm curious to know your views on winning, because you did say let's go ahead, continue on, let's grow. Did you ever pause and reflect when the Reds won, or you actually the Wallabies won and you're part of that team, to say, hey, this is really good, this is amazing, etc., and sort of stop for a bit, or do you just go, no, let's keep going, let's keep learning?
I think you have to as a team. We sort of, and I don't know who watches this, but we would call winners piss, and it was around winners piss. But if we won, let's go and have a beer together. Let's celebrate the win, and then when we wake up tomorrow, let's get on with the next game. And we did that when 2011. We had 8 consecutive wins. Then we went on to win the premiership, but we drank more alcohol that year than we probably did in the years that we were coming last. And again, we weren't binge drink or anything like that. It was just we would play wherever it was, whether it be South Africa, Sydney, wherever, Queensland here, and we'd have a few drinks as a team and go just celebrating those little wins. And I think you need to, however that looks in your team, whether it be, and I know alcohol is not a great thing. And for me, I wasn't much of a drinker, and I'm not much of a drinker, but I would go down and, have a Coke Zero. And a lot of guys would. They would have a Coke Zero. But it was more about bringing the team together just to celebrate what we had done that day. And it's good to go, oh, geez, what about that hit you did? Or, we would Saia would always sort of roll around like a crumb sausage, we would call it, because, he would, someone would touch him or whatever, and you'd see his dreads fly up and him rolling over. So we're like, Saia, what about you rolling around like a sausage? And, so it was really good to get that banter, but good banter around winning. And then you wake up Monday, you wake up on Monday and you're ready to roll in again, and how can we make that better? And then we would put Saia's video up of him rolling around. But again, you have to bring some enjoyment in it, because it's so serious the whole time. And how do we create a workplace or an environment where it's okay to be enjoyable, but when you're on, you turn that switch on and we're on. So that's something that the good teams really, really have, the ability to sort of switch on and off. Go from a change room into, a warm-up and just be on. And I think the growth of the team from when we started to when we got to that year was huge, and that the ability to be able to switch on and off was something that served our team really well.
You touched on the word enjoy there, enjoyment in sport. Can I talk about your relationship with rugby? Did it change over the course of your career around enjoyment levels?
I think if I reflect, what could I have said to probably to enjoy it a little bit more. And I think even when I watch kids now playing, even at, high school, there's so much pressure. I think back when I played year 11 and 12, like it was the best time playing with all my friends at school and playing first 15. It was so enjoyable. So, I think enjoyment is so much. And again, celebrating those little wins, even in a workplace. And that's something I try to drive now in business, celebrating the little wins, whether it be, winning a contract, whether it be whatever a win looks like to you or your business or, to a sporting team, making sure that you celebrate those, because that's what gets teams up. That's what gets morale up. That's what gets confidence up. So it really helps the direction. It helps, and strong leaders are really good at pulling out even when you're not doing the very best, or you lose a game, going, listen, we may have lost the game, but our KPIs or, the defensive structure was really, really good. These are probably the areas that we need to work on. Let's fix those. And then, you sort of go, okay, let's fix those. The next game you end up winning, you go, geez, that did work. So then you can see the success in the hard work, but also, the celebrating that little win.
We talk of high-performance teams a lot, and you're in your various positions, whether it's a centre or whether it's a winger or whatever it might be, and you have your own various roles. Can I get your views on what makes a good high-performance team?
High-performance team, obviously you need a good leader, and that being a coach. You need everyone to understand their role within the team. And
including bench players.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so why I say a good leader in a high-performance team, a good leader, let's use Ewan McKenzie 2011 because that's an easy one. Ewan McKenzie made the third-string centre. So there's two other centres in front of him. He makes me feel like I'm the number one centre. Even though I'm in the stands watching Anthony Fainga'a on the field, he makes me feel like I'm playing or I could play the next week. And leaders build that culture around, a real healthy environment to succeed, to want more, to not be upset that that guy is, getting your spot, but also go, well, he has that spot. I'm going to get my opportunity if I work hard. And Ewan was really, really good at rewarding people for doing the hard work, and not just, I've had some good coaches and some really rubbish coaches, but not giving it just a bit of conversation. If you work hard, we'll give you some
fluff.
Yeah. So and that there's a lot of that goes on. I'll give you the opportunity if you work hard. You work your butt off, and you don't get anything. So he was really good in rewarding those the hard work, and I thought for me one of my biggest things previously when you sort of come off the bench and you're worried about your job on the Monday, going, geez, did I play well or not? Ewan came to me in the first weeks before we started the season and said, Ant, I'm going to give you the first sort of 3 games. Win, lose or draw, I'm backing you. And what that allowed me to do is have confidence that, I can throw that pass, and the pass that I was worried about and wouldn't pass because I'm going, am I going to get dropped the next week? I would throw it, go through. I'd run that line because I sort of had really strong confidence that Ewan wouldn't drop me if we didn't win or if I didn't play that well. But it actually enabled me to give it more and be more confident in everything I did, whether that be pass, tackle, to rush someone, to use my voice to go, let's go, here we go. So those little things it made a huge difference. And I think a good leader is also able to go, I've got a game plan, but does that game plan actually fit the players I have? I've had some great leaders, but the leaders that have the very best game plans, but doesn't fit the players we have. It'd be really hard to use the game plan that we had for 2011 with a South African side that is, 4 times bigger than us, a little bit slower around the corner. So Ewan was really good in having really good assistance. When I say assistance, we would have someone that would run the defence. Matt Taylor, fantastic, really methodical in what we were doing. We had Jim Mackay, who was a defensive attacking sort of strategist, and he made us think outside of the box around what we were going to do. But I remember Ewan, in terms of like game plans, we were a really big attacking side, and we were playing in South Africa, and Ewan sort of speaking to Quaid and myself and a few other guys around the table, and we were playing, I think it was the Stormers, and the Stormers have been known for their defence was fantastic. They weren't an attacking team. I think in their first 8 games before we had played them at home, they had scored 2 tries, but they'd kicked all their penalties. So what they would do is strangle you, get a penalty, kick goal, go back, and repeat. And they were winning games by that. And no one really cared because they were on top of the ladder. So we got over there and Ewan, and for us that year, we were the most exciting team. We were, Quaid, I remember the week before, kicks a crossfield kick in the try line. And I'm going, what is he doing? I'm chasing up the field. And then we get to South Africa in Cape Town, and Ewan's sitting there going, what we're going to do is we're going to let the Stormers entertain their crowd. We're coming here and we're not going to entertain them. Quaid's like, what do you mean, Ewan? He goes, well, when you get the ball, you're going to kick it back to them. Doesn't matter where we are on the field, you're going to kick it back. If we get the ball, if there's a line-out, we're going to throw it in and we're going to kick it back to them. And we're going to make them entertain. We're not coming here to entertain their crowd. So he flipped that mindset just on its head. And I looked, and when I sat back, I'm like, it's fantastic. And it just, he was able to sort of, manipulate, but also, from a fan's point of view, we're not going there to entertain their fans. So let's let them entertain their fans. And we end up winning that game, and it was a hard game, but and I don't think the Stormers had lost there for 2 or 3 years, so it was a really, really big match for us. So we got back to the hotel after that, and everyone was just so happy that we were able to fly there, win that game, and it sort of set our season up. And I think after that we went on to win like quite a number of consecutive wins, and then we end up winning the final. But that game and the way that we processed that and the game plan around that was unbelievable. So talk about leaders and high performance, being able to go, yes, I'm going to change our plan and have the players to be able to do that. And also, having the trust in your leader to make the decision. Go sometimes, and I spoke to Benny Hanna around what Wayne Bennett does and some of the things that he does as a leader. They get sort of real trust within their leaders. So and that's what Ewan and some of the best coaches that I've ever had. They've had like a real trust that I know the direction. I'll follow you into battle. Where we're there no matter what. And we sort of had a bit of a mantra when we got into that finals. There's no way, we're burning the ships. We're not coming back. So, we're out there and we are leaving everything out there. And we loved it. So Ewan would always have these pre-match sort of slogan things that we would always go, everyone would, we'd finish the team chat and everyone was like, how good was that? We're burning the ships. And I remember Bo Robinson kicking the wall and running out with his blonde hair. And it was so funny, but it was good. Like, it just got the morale up the team, and and I could even hear it through the game. Like Bowie at the side of the scrum punching the other guy, slapping him in the face, going, we're burning the ships, boys, we're burning, and all of that stuff was
contagious.
It is. It really is, and you need to have those 2 or 3 core people in your team as well that have that infectious sort of excitement, positivity, and sometimes it's not your best player. Sometimes it's a player that just does the groundwork, because we can't all have centres or wingers that score tries. You need the winger that's going to be able to be defensively really good. We had guys out of position. We had Quade as a fullback, but would come into the line as a defensive. So we sort of called him a quarterback. So it was really, really good to see how we changed the game plan.
2011 was a big year for you and the Reds and you and Mackenzie in Australia, playing your 2 different jerseys. You played for the Wallabies as well.
Yep.
How did the dynamic vary from putting the green and gold on versus the Queensland Reds coming off that Super 15? 14? Was it 15?
Yeah,
14?
Super 14, 15.
15 at the time. Then the difference there of team and dynamics and culture and different players?
Yeah, and that year was a World Cup year, so it was very different. We tried to create the same sort of culture when we all went to the Wallabies. I think
including the coach.
That's right. So we had 3 days, and we were then into Wallaby camp. So you don't get much time off anyway either. So it was hard. It's hard because you're getting different personalities, and we're so used to having everyone that's. Let's do it.
Oh, the Queenslanders have arrived, have they? Oh, right, okay. Look at them all partying and hugging each other and stuff.
Correct. So we had to try and you just got to try and work within those parameters. And again, you get clicks. You're on tour for so long, so you have to be. We were away, I think, for the World Cup, the Bledisloe, and the spring tour back to back to back. For a couple of months. So it's a lot of time, and you build good connections, but losing didn't work. Like, winning helps, and then having losing a few games and all the rest of it. But again, the culture was really good as well. We probably missed a few opportunities, but again, I suppose it can happen in any team.
Yeah,
and
you give it your best shot, and whatever happens at the result is it's in your control, but also out of your control sometimes as well. Yeah,
and different referees, different hemispheres. Like we went to London and played England. It was tough, and Wales, and I think there's so much learnings in there. So again, I'm just so blessed to wear the Reds jersey, and then to sort of put the Wallaby jersey on, or even to sit on the bench or anything to do with the Wallabies. I was just so proud. So I sort of was sitting back, just absorbing everything and listening and learning, and training like I was playing every week. So for me it was the training, the excitement, everything was probably really, really good, but at the same time took a lot away. All I was doing is so focused, and sort of missed that enjoyment. You talk about that. I missed it because I didn't want to let anyone down. You've got so many eyeballs on you, playing for your country, you're representing your country, you're representing everyone that you see. So, I sort of, if I could go back and talk to myself, I'd say just enjoy playing for the Wallabies. Not sit back, but enjoy, the training. Enjoy, put a smile on your face. Don't be so serious. Like, it's okay. It's training. When we get out on the park, then we can turn it on. Do your extra work, do everything, but let's just really enjoy all those little wins. Let's find the little wins when we get to camp. Don't be so nervous that you're sort of shaking, that you lose focus and you're worried so much, but trust that you've done the work. So there's sort of some of the things that I thought, for me, if I could go back, or if I could go say to any player, what do you do? Enjoy it, because that's why you started this thing. It's just a real pleasure to play the game. So if you make it, just enjoy it as well. The hard work and all the rest of it, you do no matter what. So enjoy the time.
It must be a little tricky as money continues to rise in terms of professional sport. Your payments for playing for the Wallabies and contracts, etc. And you mentioned you got 3 goes at it with you, and to be a bit freer, I suppose, in terms of your game and enjoy it more. But you're being dropped, and not just being dropped, but you also have the press, and now you've got more social media about people saying, "Oh, this rubbish played a terrible game," or whatever it might be, and then you might potentially lose a contract, which is significant in terms of income. How did you balance the money side of things with the enjoyment?
I suppose I never looked at the money, and I suppose I'll go right back to when we first got our contract money. Sarah and I went and bought a block of units. So our whole sort of mantra was, if we can't see it, can't spend it. So money would come in, we would pay the mortgage, whatever's left over, that's what we got. So then we'd do that when we moved up to Queensland. We bought a few places in Windsor, Ascot, Hamilton. So we started to, that's what we would do with our cash. I don't think money is a huge part of it all. However, having the sick feeling, I try to describe it to people, having the sick feeling that you've been called into the principal's office every week, you kind of get used to it. So not knowing if my position's going to be given to someone else, especially as you start to get older, it's harder, because you go, well, I'm one injury away from not getting my position back. I get injured for 1 week and, I hurt my shoulder, and the doctor says to me, you can't play this week. I give the other centre that's 21 years old a crack. I'm 30. He plays really well. I may not get my position back. So that's what there's so many factors that come into that. Contracting at the end of the year, and then they start early. So during the season, people are talking about contracts. So it's a really, really hard place to navigate. And I suppose going into business, that's something that I tell a lot of the players, like, you've done this, you've had so much uncertainty for so many years. Every week you work on uncertainty. You get one injury, you're not playing. You get a big injury and you're not playing for the season, then you might not have a contract. So I'm giving you a bit of certainty with a job. Let me give you that. Now go and do your very best. What's your purpose? Okay, this is my purpose. What's going to keep getting you up every day? At the end of the day, what discipline is, what a routine and a good habit is. Do that, and then underpin it with how you made it to be, a Wallaby or a Reds player, and you're halfway there. Because the hard work, I believe, the hard work is the base of anything. Again, the business we started, I put so much time and effort into it. For me, I go in my head, I was really good at rugby because I threw everything at it. How can I be as good in business if I don't give it that passion and that care and that the love that it needs, and the work? So I did that, and I worked super hard in the first. Well, I still work super hard in it, but I need to give it that love, that care, that dedication, that time and effort. So that's kind of what
keeps you
yeah.
driven. I'm the end of the playing life, the end of the rugby career, chapter closed, new chapter beginning, starting a business with your brother, which, by the way, you've obviously the branding, you've got your own Instagram together, you do a lot of things together. The start of that journey from day one, can you talk about day one and I suppose where the business has gone over the last 4 years?
Yeah, so I came back from Japan and I was very lucky. A good friend of mine said, "Oh, would you like to come and do some insurance?" I said, "Fantastic." And Shane was a really lovely guy and someone that, that sort of helped me out quite a lot during my rugby career. And I suppose when I go back, Sarah and I worked really hard in rugby to network. Our biggest thing was you can't do, some people go, "I want to go and do half a uni degree and then I want to network." Go and network the shit out of yourself, or go and, study and finish with a degree so someone can give you an opportunity. When you network the crap out of yourself, when you finish, hopefully someone will say, "Listen, here's a job, I'll give you that opportunity." And so when I finished, I got that opportunity and I came back. We already had a services company, like a small construction company going in Canberra, and that's where we're from, obviously. So I thought I can do more in this space. So I started doing my MBA, finishing it off, and towards the end of it, I thought, well, what do I really love? Who gives people like me a job after 17 years of rugby? How do I get an opportunity to work? And I thought about my father and, how hard it was for him. And so I went, I can do labour hire. And it didn't come with the greatest name, but I go, well, who's giving those people an opportunity? And so for me, I get really excited that I can give people an opportunity. And people go, "Oh, geez, they've just started this." Yeah, while I was playing for the Reds, Sarah and I were working with Mission Australia and other non-for-profits, getting people, especially young Indigenous men and women, from sort of 18 to whatever, 40, 50, get them employed for 60, 90, and 120 days, and speaking to their employers, speaking to them, and just encourage them through that whole process. So we did that off our own back. And so getting people the opportunity and trying to keep them into the work was something we already do. And then the traffic management and how that came along, I wanted to be first in, last out. So how do I give people the opportunity for traffic? So we started the traffic business, and I suppose after the first sort of 3 years have been quite tough with, we don't chase the mum and dad house here and there. We look at, how can we get in with the bigger guys and really secure a consistent relationship, a really strong bond with our clients. So a bit like our rugby career, you make sure you've done all the work. So we work super hard on all of our, safety processes. So hiring the right people, making sure we got the right team, making sure we got the right IT and all the systems correct. And then when we go to deliver, we over-deliver every time. Clients are happy so that we keep getting the call back. So when we started, we talked about goals and where we want to be. The goal when I was a child was to play for the Wallabies. When we started the business, Sarah and I sort of got together. I said, "Sarah, wouldn't it be cool to be one of the very first Indigenous companies to list on the stock market?" And I thought, what an amazing sort of thing to do. And for me, playing for the Wallabies wasn't about money. Being a listed entity isn't about money. Playing for the Wallabies, money comes when you play well and you get rewarded by playing for your country. And I think becoming a listed entity, money comes. So if I get halfway close to playing for my country, I'll play for the Reds. If I get anywhere close to being able to list a company, I feel like I've done okay. So, and then it helped me sort of structure the business. Go, well, what do I need to do to make sure that if anyone comes in, I run this business like a ASX listed company. I've got the right safety, all my books are fine, I've got the right people in place. And at the back end of that, people go, I want mum and dad to go, geez, I want to invest in that business. I was really big on that, and that's why we're sort of in the people business and the traffic, because we want mum and dads, we want people to go, geez, how do I invest in that? I want to be a part of that. I want to go on that journey with those guys. And for us, it's about having something or building really strong foundations over the next sort of 20, 30 years so that, this company's bigger than us. It's like the Hutchison buildings where it's generational stuff, and we don't want to be big, or we just want to be something that people go, geez, I want to be part of that and invest in and be a part of that culture and brand. So again, to go back to your point, so that's what we started, trying to be a listed entity and having that open book policy. We still work super hard, and again, that sort of listed entity sort of mind frame allows me to sort of have a process. When you're trying to find a game plan, I go, well, what are the listed entities doing? What are the big boys doing? How can I? So I look at that and go, okay, well, that's what they're doing, as well as trying to go, what am I going to be the very best at? So I take what I learned from rugby. Rugby, you have to be the very best at everything, or you have to be good at everything to sort of get to the top. But what am I going to be the very best at? So we've invested a lot of time and effort into our people, into technology and IT. For me, I think we can become more efficient in trying to secure work so that we can give people an opportunity to work. And, I don't care what background you are. If you want to work hard, you've got a job with us. So, and that's the business sort of mission, is to try and give people, anyone from any background, an opportunity. Because I know what it was like to see my dad sort of work at the pub and sort of be trodden on until we sort of got okay at football, and then people started remembering his name. And I do not want that. Sarah and I, we don't come from a lot, and we worked our butts off to play rugby, and rugby was really, really good and gave us the opportunity to sort of have the business we have. Again, hard work is the base of all of that. And, Moonyah, and I suppose I'll talk a bit about Moonyah. Moonyah, my mother is Aboriginal, my father's Tongan, and Moonyah in Bundjalung language means safe house. And when we were young growing up, we lived in the pub and on the streets. It was quite tough, and again, I didn't know that it was tough. It was just what
as a child, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, so it is what it is, and when I sort of reflected on business, what can I do that helps, what brings people in, and it means safe house in Bundjalung language. So wherever we were, whether it be on the streets or a house, wherever it was with mum and dad, it was a safe house. So Moonyah, to us, you work for us for 1 day, 1 hour, full time, it's a safe house. We want to bring you into our safe house. So it really sort of, it means a lot. And then the logo around it, it's like a yarning circle or dinner table where everyone comes to share their stories or, how we can be better. But no one's better than anyone else, whether you're me, whether you're $1 billion investor, whether you're someone that is just worked 1 hour. I don't want to ever have that person getting trod on like I saw. And I said, I just hated it for my dad, and they would not call Sarah and I by our names. It was Twin A and Twin B. So just trying to make sure that we keep the real core of the business throughout this journey.
I'm going to pose a question to you. Someone comes to Moonyah and you find them a job, and then they, the happiness goes up and they do well for you, and you see this from something that you've created, that feeling versus scoring a try for the Wallabies.
What's better or
yeah.
worse? Well, I didn't score many tries for the Wallabies, so but I don't know, it's a different feeling. Again, I need to try and create, when I played rugby, wins were a big thing, scoring tries. They're all the little wins. In my business, the win is the job, getting someone, placing someone in a job.
And seeing that you've changed their life. The direction of their life has been changed by your impact.
Before Christmas, we had a guy that was homeless, and we gave him a small opportunity to work with one of the building companies here in the city, and he spent 4 weeks there, and he got full-time work out of it. And going into Christmas, where people, especially in this labour hire sort of casual workforce, to see him get some full-time employment and the client just be so happy, I guess that's why I do this. Because, giving someone that opportunity to be able to work and change his life. And now his brother works for the company as well. So, we always talk about having the mob effect. We will go into someone's house, or like who will you surround yourself with? He's really close with his brother. Okay, let's get him up and going first. Let's deal with number one. Then he brings his brother in. We fit him out with all the gear, and and they worked all over Christmas and they're still there. So for me, that's what matters. That's change, and that's success for me, because I'm being able to create something that honestly I didn't think I'd be able to find a job after. What am I going to do? I've got no skills. So to be able to do that for someone else, I feel so lucky and blessed to be able to create one opportunity, let alone 300 for our workforce.
You sound and seem in this chat that we've had very optimistic. You're an optimistic person. Prosperity might be one of your values, seeing people prosper. Where do you reckon that's come from?
Not sure, to be honest. I suppose with all my injuries...
Resilience.
Yeah, you kind of have to be optimistic. We had a team meeting yesterday, and we got around the table and said, what are we grateful for? And Albert Anna, who used to play for the Reds and now works for the business, he said, I feel so lucky to be in this country. He goes, we've got, where you turn the TV on, there's bombs getting thrown down and families are running. Because I feel so lucky to be able to live in this country and come to work. And I went, yeah, you're right. So, I don't know, surrounding yourself with good people as well. I don't know, everything could be worse.
You're grateful, yeah.
As long as I've got my health, I can do anything. And I have to be a bit like that. I love surrounding myself with really great people, and I feel very... blessed to have good people around me, and even the workforce that we have, I don't work. They don't work for me. I work for them, because they're the ones out there doing the work. I don't have a business without you. And sometimes, as a business owner, I've seen people forget. I go, absolutely not. You don't work. I don't have a job. So you're my boss. So I remind myself all the time about that, because. Christmas time, we try to bring everyone, whether you worked 1 hour or, full time for us, food always brought our family together. So I cook a pig on the spit, we put a salad out, huge spread. And every Sunday, that's what our family would do. So I did it at Christmas on a Sunday so that, I can tell everyone, this is what brought our family. We're a family-owned business. You're in our family, and this is a safe house. So I don't want you to treat anyone any different, but come here and enjoy the food, enjoy everyone's company, because we're all here trying to make a living for our family.
No, that's fantastic. I've got one last question. Is the piece of advice for the younger kids out there that now that there's money dangling, as we've talked about, the professional era, as well as the parents out there that obviously sometimes can be a little bit overbearing on their children to want them to succeed and to be a professional athlete, because it is a thing. There's now, I think, was it Sam Constance's Instagram went from 18,000 at the Boxing Day cricket test match to 250,000 over 3 days or 4 days of playing cricket. And now it's the talk of the cricket world. But, and maybe people, but I want to be like Sam Constance. It's great that these kids want to be like a superstar, but then there's a lot of pressure, as you mentioned as well.
I think my advice to any young girl or guy coming through, that's fine. You always see the success. No one ever really sees the guys and the girls that work their butt off that never make it. So what I would be saying is that's really great for him, but what can I do right now to make it? What can I, in my routine, what can I do today to make those changes so when I get my opportunity, I absolutely smash it, and then that's it. Because, you might only get that one opportunity. As you saw, he got one opportunity, and, his Instagram goes from 80 to 200. So for me, encouragement from your parents has to be, you sort of need it, because there'll be days where you don't want to get up, and you don't want to do it. I remember my father, from a young age, he wouldn't let me drive to training because he wanted us to run. So he would make me and Saia run, and my mum was allowed to drive my younger brothers, but Saia and I had to run. So, and he was quite hard on us, but at the same time, he knew when to pull back and say, it's okay, relax. But at the same time, I think my advice to anyone coming through, forget the noise, worry about what you can control, find a good routine, work your backside off. When you think you've done enough, do more. And when you think you've done more, then, look across the room, someone's going to be doing more than that. So train harder. Your mind's weak a bit. So, just keep telling it can do it. And you just keep pushing. Again, in my head, I always go optimistic. Why can't I do this? Or why? So I'm a big believer, I can do it. Why can't I do it? Because someone told me I can't. So even in our business, ASX listed, I've already heard people say, you're dreaming. Yes, maybe I am. But I was, for two young boys from Queensland to play for their state and their country, over 200 super caps between us, to play over 50 Wallaby caps between us, to get out of Queensland, no way, that was never going to happen. So, but hard work, having a goal, working hard, money and, what would I say? So money and chasing someone, having an idol is fantastic, so it gives you a path, but chasing money has never worked for us. So it's all about, I want to play for the Wallabies. What is the hard work that I need to do to get there? Because sometimes we lose focus of that. We want to have the Instagram. We want to have, the professional career in whatever it might be, but we don't do the work, so we're never going to make it. And hard work is fine, but there's a lot of sacrifices. So, everyone wants to play for the Wallabies, but 99% of people don't want to make the sacrifice that it takes to get there. It's the same in Sarah and I in this business. Last 4 years, we've had to sacrifice so much, but everyone wants to run a 30, 40, $50 million business, but no one wants to make that sacrifice that it takes initially, from transition from rugby to trying to understand the business, to then putting people on, then implementing processes, and to run a business so that you can go, geez, now I'm ready to go again, and list and all the rest of it. So, sacrifice is something that they have to understand that is going to be part of it as well. And if they've got all of those and they're happy to do that, well, let's crack on.
Anthony, I'm going to leave it there on a high note. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story on the Scoreboard podcast today, from the early days of the Queanbeyan days to where you are now, and congratulations on the launch of the business 4 years ago to where it is today, and obviously the next path and the next goals. Great to have you in.
No, thank you very much, Chris, for the opportunity to speak. It's been a pleasure.